Hello, welcome to SHE-preneur Stories series, an initiative by 46XX that brings to light story of a woman entrepreneur per episode that might just cheer, inspire, aid and benefit you on your entrepreneurial journey. Today, let's meet Ratnasri Karra, a SEBI Registered Investment Adviser. She's the founder of Her-mony, which she founded in 2013. You may read more about her accomplishments in the description box. Listen in to learn more about as to how did she get to where she is today. Ratnasri hails from Andhra Pradesh, but she grew up primarily in the North and East India. Her father worked in the railways. He was a part of the Eastern Railways, so she grew up in the Bengal, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh belt with her formative years in Calcutta, now Kolkata. Ratnasri is the youngest of 4 children. She has 2 older brothers and an older sister. She comes from a family of professionals. Both her brothers are engineers from IIT Kharagpur and her sister is a teacher. Growing up, Ratnasri was very close to her paternal grandmother. Her paternal grandmother raised her 7 boys to be successful through values of hard work and integrity. The same values have been ingrained into 3 generations after her. Consequently, thanks to the values that have been passed along, all of Ratnasri's cousins are both happy and successful in their personal and professional spaces. Her grandmother also raised all her female grandchildren, including Ratnasri, to be equal to boys, as she had very forward views for her times. She was extremely well-read. She had learned to read and write on her own, even though she did not have any formal education. She has written poetry that has now been published and recognized. Hence, her grandmother was Ratnasri's idol in many ways, because she accomplished things on her own, even though women in her times were not given the same opportunities. Carrying on the tradition, Ratnasri has tried to pass on the same values to her children. Ratnasri's husband is an HR professional. Her daughter is into filmmaking and her son has just finished school and is about to step into college. Her husband has always given her space to be herself and encouraged her to learn, grow and explore. However, he was always on the move, moving companies and cities. She chose to take a long break in her career because she wanted to be there for her children, who are now her inspiration. Growing up, Ratnasri was a shy girl, but very competitive. Her family moved a lot since her father was in the railways. Every time she moved school, she had to make new friends, learn new skills. Nevertheless, she was always in the top 3 through school and was the topper of the 1989 batch of graduates of arts from Sri Shiksha Yatan College, Calcutta. However, Ratnasri was always caught up between the idea of being very ambitious in her career and being a dancer. She was trained in Bharatanatyam and Kathak growing up. She was always on stage in school, year after year, performing and choreographing. She didn't have any clear direction then as to what a career meant. It was her companion, her husband, who recognized her potential early on in their marriage and helped her find direction, and later on in life, helped her rebuild her career after a sabbatical. Ratnasri comes from a simple middle-class family. Her mother was a homemaker and enjoyed all her simple feminine skills of cooking, managing home, sewing, etc. However, Ratnasri wanted to emulate her father more, be the leader and lead an organization. Being competitive by nature, being better than boys or men at anything that she did was important to Ratnasri and what drove her. Additionally, she always needed for her intellect to be stimulated and was always on a lookout for content, conversations, etc. to feed that. After graduating from Calcutta University in 1989, Ratnasri pursued a computer course from NIIT. Post that, she started her career in ANZ Grindlays, Calcutta in 1990. She continued working until 1993 when she had to move to Bangalore with her husband soon after marriage. She was on a sabbatical till 1996, at which point she decided to pursue her post-graduation. She went on to complete MBA and CFA from ICFAI Business School, Bangalore in 1998 when her daughter was just 4 years old. Even though her daughter was an easy kid who adapted well, it was a struggle for Ratnasri to manage studies and home at the same time. Going back to studies post-marriage with a kid posed its own challenges, but she did not give up. Her daughter was very much a part of her graduation photo, seen sitting on the lap of Ratnasri's professor. Post-MBA and CFA in 1999, she started a software training and development center in Bangalore. Soon her business was hit because of the 2000 dot-com bust. She had lost all her savings and was in debt. To add to that, she had 2 painful miscarriages. This was by far the lowest point of her life. She felt heavily conflicted with what she was doing versus how she was feeling versus what she really wanted. At this point, looking for answers deep within, she had a profound realization. She immediately set out to put her priorities in order. She picked up the pieces of her life, starting with closing down the business because her biggest learning came during the time when the business was hit because of the 2000 dot-com bust, and that is, knowing about finance isn't a guarantee for financial success. She was pregnant again and chose to move out from active work life in 2000 to put her family first, in alignment with what she really wanted at that point of time in her life. This brought her immense peace of mind. Consequently, not only was she able to repay all her debt over a period of time with the help of her husband, she was also entrusted with managing their money, seeing her need for financial independence and knowing her desire to be involved in the investment decisions. As a result, during this break, which lasted for nearly 15 years, she went on to actively manage the family's personal portfolio, bought and sold property and investments even under adverse market conditions, and made positive returns. Today, she has managed to successfully achieve her goals of sustainable living, both economically and ecologically. Drawing from her journey and with the aim of empowering women to take ownership of their financial lives, a cause she feels strongly about, Ratnasri ventured into entrepreneurship in 2013. Her-mony, her venture, is her way of giving back to young women, helping them become financially independent on one hand, and creating a long-term retirement cum career plan for herself to keep her active on the other. Till date, Her-mony has impacted the lives of 1,500 plus women by fueling their behavior towards making right financial decisions. Ratnasri will now give us a peek into what her entrepreneurial journey has been like.
I'm Ratnasri Karra, founder of Her-mony. I'm a registered investment advisor with SEBI, and my passion is to empower women to take ownership of their financial lives, which is what Her-mony is all about. So I was an entrepreneur a long time ago. I actually first set up a software training and development center in 1998. Ran it for a bit and actually lost money in the 2000 bust. So that put a stop to my entrepreneurial journey then. But I think once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. So after many years of staying home, when I decided to come back to active work life, the only thing that made sense to me was to become an entrepreneur all over again. So that's how I set up Her-mony as a journey where I give back all my learnings to a lot of young women who are upcoming and out there wanting to grow. So when I ran my first enterprise, I think the biggest challenge was, the two biggest challenges that any entrepreneur faces is what I feel. The first, of course, is having money to sustain a business idea. And second is to find the right people to work with you. So when I ran my business the first time, of course, I ran out of money at one time, and I had some wonderful people working with me. However, we couldn't sustain it. So that continues even today. So when I set up this business now, I kept it as a very, very slim, lean and mean kind of a model where we're not investing a lot in the work I do. However, getting the right people to work with you is always the most complex aspect of doing, especially in my space where you need people who are both qualified as well as understand the work space. So that's usually a challenge. But we've created a new model this year, which we will launch to overcome some of those challenges. So we'll be building a lot of training content and material for that purpose. So the biggest support that I've received in my entrepreneurial journey is through networks. The first thing that I did when I decided to get into this journey is I joined a lot of networks. Today, I have to say, fortunately, there are a lot of networks meant for women entrepreneurs, which provide platforms both for learning, for development, for funding, for finding markets, to everything. And it's important that for any entrepreneur to become part of that. So I've received tremendous support from every organization that I've been part of, and where I've volunteered, I have helped, and I have grown along with it. So that has been the biggest support. So I think for women, family, it's very easy for us to say family is a support or family is not a support. But I think we need to support ourselves first. And the family will support you if you stand up to what you want and need and tell them that this is what life is going to be about. Or like, especially for somebody like me who stayed home for 15 years and then decided to go back to work. Family was in the beginning a little hassled because they're just so used to having me around doing all their things and suddenly finding that I don't. They were a support in the beginning. No, they were pretty lost. And then slowly they got used to the idea that, mom works or wife works or she has that many more hours that she's not there. Even my parents were not used to me not being around at the drop of a hat, because they would just pick up the phone and call me and find that I'm at work. So I think as women, we need to build our family to learn to support us. And I think the same applies to friends as well. Because friends who are used to you being on a break and staying around and always being there to hang out, of suddenly finding that you're not available, it's different. But if that's what you want to be or that's what you want to do, you will make that compromise. So it's worth the effort. So once you begin, when you begin, it's not always so balanced or so easy. But then you need to find a structure, and then you settle down into routine, and you also find support, with the family, but you have to ask for the support. So if you literally stand up and say, look, I cannot do this and I need you to help, and pitch it. Initially, it's not always understood or accepted. But once you start doing it, you begin to realize that they all understand, because they also work, they are also busy, so they do understand. But we have to first make the effort of raising our hand, saying what we need to say, asking for the support that we need, and then everything falls in line. So initially it was difficult, but I think today it's very easy. In fact, I find everybody looks and say, oh, you're at work, okay, we're not going to disturb you, we'll take care of ourselves, just relax. So it's, I think, we who put that barrier in front of us. So taking time out for myself was something which I always did, even while I was home and taking care of everybody. And I think a lot of women do that anyway. So when you're working, you get less time to do that. And so that's something which we need to, again, make a conscious effort of. Fortunately, the two things that I really, really love for myself is always music and dancing. And all I need is, every time I need to take a break, I need to put some earphones and listen to the kind of music that I like, and I'm on a break. So it immediately gives me a lot of energy, and I love dancing. So typically I will be jumping around somewhere, doing a couple of steps on my walk. So that's good enough. And that's a great way of taking a break. So I think we need to take breaks, short breaks between our long days, and enjoy ourselves rather than worry about some long break which is never going to come. So accomplishments, so many, and I don't even recall sometimes that I had accomplished it. For example, my first accomplishment was topping my college. I didn't even know about it because I had just, I was in a different city, and I went back to collect my certificate, and then I was told in the office that I actually topped my college. So, and those are accolades. And doing my CFA when I had a 2-year-old. She was 2 to 4, my daughter, when I actually completed a CFA. I was the one of the few, I think there were 2 or 3 of us who were married at that time. And I was the only woman in a batch of 5 who actually completed the CFA. So all that are accomplishments in its own space. Always being able to do what I believed in is an accomplishment itself. My 2 kids are my accomplishments. When I see their successes, it gives me great joy and pride. I built 2 homes on sustainable principles. Again, of course, the architect builds it, but then we have to guide them on what we want and what we don't want in terms of the principles of what the way we want to live. So I grow my own fruits and vegetables now that we consume. So it's all organic. So these are all accomplishments because this is what I wanted in my own life. And of course, setting up my business to help. My whole intention was that when I see other women having goals but they're not able to get there simply because they didn't think through for themselves, is something that I want to build a place where women feel comfortable about coming, creating investments for themselves to achieve their long-term goals. It's what drives me. So that is an accomplishment. Every time I see a client who has been able to achieve what she had deep inside her and was not able to talk to anybody or get there, it's a huge accomplishment. Every client of mine is an accomplishment. When I see them move from A to B, it's an accomplishment. A to D, another accomplishment. So it's great. I wouldn't change a thing. I think what we are given to us is what is given. It's how we deal with it that is important. So I don't think I would have changed anything. Every opportunity that I got, I have used. And every opportunity where things didn't go my way, I have learned from. I think last year was an amazing learning experience when you go, when what happened to a lot of people. Grateful that that we always have a chance to improve on who we can be. So I think I have no regrets in life. I always do what I believe in, so no regrets at all. The future for my business is I've now created a success story where I know that there's a lot of impact that I've created. It's amazing how people reach out to me to speak and share my story on platforms. I am very, very. I have to say that I'm very downplayed on social media. And don't promote myself too much. So it's amazing that people have reached out to help and support, and created a space where the work that I've done, the body of work that I've done, is being valued. The next step from here, of course, is that I'm working on creating a team. We've already identified a bunch of people where we are putting it all together to create a team and to create advisors across the country who will be delivering the quality of services to many, many more women. So the impact that I have been able to create individually, I want to see that many more women like me create it at the bottom level in different parts of the country. So for the next 1 year, what we are looking at is about to start with a pilot of 10 and to take it to 100 within this year. And I think after the 100, it will grow exponentially only. So I imagine each one to impact another 100 and so on and so forth. So the growth has to be exponential. There is no other way of creating that impact. So my takeaway in life always has been that you do whatever you believe in. And more importantly, find out about yourself. What is it that you are? Who do you want to be? And what do you believe in? When you know that, your goal will be very, very clear. It's not about how much money you have to be able to live the life of your dreams. It's more about, do you know what the life of your dreams is about? Because you can get there even with limited resources if you have clarity of thought or purpose. So that is usually more important. It takes time to find what that clarity is, but I think it's important that you make time and effort to know yourself and be clear about who you want to be. So the first thing I would like to tell women entrepreneurs, that if you're already an entrepreneur, you're aspiring to be an entrepreneur, is know that whatever business you are in is something which you love spending time doing. So it has to be, love what you do and do what you love. So that's very important. The second thing is always separate your personal finance and finance related to your business. Don't mix them up. And when I say that, I also mean that keep some aside for a rainy day, both in personal finance as well as business finance. Because when things go wrong, you will need that backup and savings to help you sustain. that was the biggest learning for everybody last year. So there's nothing new that I need to add to that. If last year hadn't happened, everything that I said makes sense. But I think last year has taught that to everybody who's been in business, that you need to have funds set aside to be able to do what you want to do, to sustain during downturns. I think this is a lovely initiative. In fact, what I said earlier about what helped me become an entrepreneur, or helped me get to success, was always networks. So you need access to a lot of knowledge and training and stories and everything through networks. So it's an amazing venture. I think you should keep this going. Women entrepreneurs need platforms where they can leave their home, their families behind, and come and talk about their own intellectual growth. So platforms like this is what will provide them those opportunities. So more and more women should connect on such platforms and understand what's happening and keep themselves updated to all and there are a lot of opportunities which are being given to women entrepreneurs to encourage them in our country. Because the number of women who actually work or are entrepreneurs is a very, very small number. And if we do not grow, the economy is not going to grow. So platforms like this are important to create that space in the country. So it's an amazing idea. And I think we should just help and participate and grow through the networks like this.
If you liked what you just saw and heard and would like to be notified as soon as we come up with more such content, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon of our YouTube channel, or follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or get yourself added to our mailing list by filling in a form. You will find the handles, addresses, links displayed on your screens in the description box or comments section. Thank you.